we will speak on the subject of how to be free from illusion. Because yesterday I was speaking on the same topic from Narad Bhakti Sutra. So they asked me if I could speak, and so we will carry on the same subject, but mostly in English now. So we have turned our backs on Krishna, right? And we wanted to be the enjoyers. But Krishna is so kind that he does not allow our souls to fall down, to get contaminated. So Krishna, he creates this system, where we get covering of two bodies, the subtle body and the gross body. And the illusory potency, Maya Devi, she gives us 5 coverings of ignorance. Avaranatmika potency, Tamishra, Andatamishra, Tamas Mahamo, Mo Mahamo. So we will basically speak on Mo and Mahamo. So Mo means to identify yourself with the body, thinking that we are this body. And Mahamo means to be attached to the sense objects which satisfy the senses and the mind of the body. So like in Katha Upanishad, it is explained how this body is constructed, that the 5 senses are like the 5 horses of a chariot. The mind is the reins of the horses. Intelligence is the driver, and the soul is the passenger. When we are at a train station and we are a little bit sleepy, and sometimes on the other platform we look at the other train and we think our train has started moving. But then we look at the ground, we understand that our train is still stationary, but the other train has moved, right? Similarly, because of this ignorance and this strong desire to enjoy materially, the body is moving by the 3 modes of nature, Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogun, and the soul is the passenger, but is thinking that he is the driver. You may have experienced that sometimes you want to catch a flight, you want to go from New Jersey to New York, JFK, and there's a lot of traffic, and somebody's driving you, and you're on the side, and then you get all excited and you say, take a left from here, take a left, speed it up, take a right. So you're not driving, but you get into that excitement and you act as if you are the driver. Similarly, because of this desire, strong desire to enjoy, the soul, who is just a desirer and observer in the body, thinks that he is the doer. Prakrite kriyamanena gune karmana sarvasa ahankar vimudatma karta aham iti manyate. He thinks he is the doer, but the Prakriti is the doer. The 3 modes are moving the body, yantra rudhani mayaya. Krishna has created this body, it's like a machine. And because the soul desires, he is put into this illusion. This is illusion. So when we understand that we are not this body and these actions are performed by the 3 modes, then we are free from illusion, right? So we'll just read now from Narad Bhakti Sutra. Yesterday we were reading. So Sutra number 46 says, who can cross beyond illusion? One who abandons material association, serves the sages, and becomes selfless. So Naradji is giving 3 strategies how to be free from illusion. Material association. Association means being influenced. Supposing you see someone eating an ice cream and you're not influenced, then you're not associating with that person. But you see him, licking the ice cream and you also feel like eating the ice cream. This means you are influenced by him and you are associating with him. So whenever we are influenced, that is the association. And a devotee, he is supposed to influence others to come to the spiritual platform. But sometimes, because of some weakness, we get influenced by the materialist, and then we develop those kind of desires and then feelings. So here Naradji is saying, abandon material association. This is one strategy. If you want to be, as long as you keep on associating materially, then you cannot understand that you are in illusion, what to speak of about being free from illusion. So material association has to be given up, understanding that actually it does not satisfy us. It's a flickering happiness, and actually it's not even happiness, it is just relief of the pressure of the senses and the mind. It's a relief, of that desire. It's not real happiness. So that has to be understood. So one has to become a serious student, because as we said in the beginning, Maya Devi gave us 5 coverings of ignorance. So this ignorance, like supposing somebody is injecting us with some ignorance, and then we are thinking we are the body. So in order to be free from that ignorance and illusion, we need to get knowledge, because knowledge destroys ignorance, right? So one has to become serious in hearing spiritual discourses, in reading Shastra, scriptures, and associating with the devotees. By developing the high taste, one can give up the lower taste. So when one feels, some bliss in associating with the devotees, then he can give up the material association. Otherwise, you cannot give up material association if you don't have something positive. After some time, you will go back to that. So the first was material association. The second is serve the sages and the devotees, and the sadhus. Devotee association, sadhu sanga, sadhu sanga, sadhu sanga, lava matra sadhu sanga, sarva siddhi hoy. In Jaiva Dharma, one book by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a lot of strategies are discussed. In Shastra, like Karma Yoga, even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains so many strategies: Karma Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. So one devotee is asking in Jaiva Dharma that what is appropriate endeavor? What is the best strategy to be reinstated in our original constitutional position, where we have a life of eternal life, of bliss and knowledge, and we are totally free from this illusory and miserable life? So two strategies are given, sadhu sang and sharanagati, right? So sadhu sang is very important, and that's what Mahaprabhu also said, sadhu sanga, sadhu sanga, sadhu sanga, lava matra sadhu sanga. If you just associate for 1/11th of a second with a real pure devotee, then your life can be changed. And so many lives have changed by just associating with Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada's books, and Srila Prabhupada's movement. So serve the sages. So initially we just associate, but when you really start serving the devotees, then you get a lot of mercy, and you can then quickly, be free from illusion. And one of the main service to the devotees is to hear from them. Hearing is also a seva, a service. So by hearing, Srinvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ridyantastoya Badrani Vidunoti Surat Sata. When you are eager to hear, then Krishna, who is already in your heart, he cleanses the dirt in the heart and purifies you, and you become free from illusion. So the importance of serving the sadhus and associating with them, that is mentioned. And the third strategy in this sutra, Naradji is saying, becomes selfless. This is completely opposite to most people in this material world who are very selfish. And in order to, satisfy their selfishness, they do a lot of exploiting of others and also the material resources, So becoming selfless is also very important, The moment you start getting knowledge that you are not this body, then to become selfless becomes much easy. As long as we are thinking we are this body, then we have so many attachments, and to become selfless becomes more difficult. So to understand the spiritual nature, that's very important, of actually who we are. And if we see Srila Prabhupada, he hammered on this point constantly in his lectures. You are not this body, you are spirit soul, eternal servant of Krishna. So this is the three strategies Naradji is giving in this sutra. Then in the sutra number 47, Naradji is saying, who can cross beyond illusion? That person who stays in a secluded place, cuts off at the root his attachment to mundane society, becomes free from the influence of the three modes of material nature, and gives up hankering for material gain and security. Staying in a secluded place. For a neophyte, this will be quite challenging, because if you go in a secluded place with mind full of so many desires, then you're going to be harassed. Who can remain in a secluded place? One whose mind is almost pure. So like Haridas Thakur, when the prostitute tried to agitate him, he was not agitated. So for us, secluded means in the association of devotees. In Kali Yuga, you get strength by the association. If I am chanting at my home, then maybe I have 5 watts energy of my chanting. But if I am associating maybe on the Zoom conference or live with 100 devotees, each one having 5 watts, then I am experiencing 500 watts. So this strength in the association of devotees, so that is what applies to us, meaning of seclusion, being in, the association of good devotees, good sadhakas. Cuts off at the root his attachment to mundane society. So as we develop our attachment to the Krishna conscious society, we naturally lose taste for, going to the tamoguni, rajoguni, places, like clubs and pubs and those kind of things, and drugs and all those things. We develop some distaste for such things. So that has to be cut off, because as long as you keep associating with mundane society, then that will be a catalyst for igniting more illusion within you, because guna sanga sad asad yonisu, by the association of that type of material nature, you develop your next body, your next birth will go in that yoni. So by associating with the devotees who are pure, who are on the sattva gun, or with the mahatmas who are on shuddha sattva, then you are developing your next body in such yoni. You will have a spiritual charged body, pure samskaras, no nonsense, like that. The next is becoming free from three modes of nature. So this is very nicely explained in the Bhagavad Gita in the 14th chapter, where the Lord says that one who understands this chapter nicely, 14th chapter, he will attain perfection. So there Krishna explains, and also in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna explains that how by giving up, rajogun, tamogun, you can situate yourself in rajogun. And then by giving up rajogun, you can situate yourself in sattvagun. And then by giving up sattvagun, how you can situate yourself in shuddha sattva. Gradually you elevate yourself, Tamogun means ignorance. Rajogun means lot of lust, passion. And sattvagun means it will give knowledge. Enlightenment will come from sattvagun, and purification will come. And Shuddha Sattva will, obviously, you will be very blissful, and you will definitely not have to come back in this land of illusion, the material world. And then last strategy is saying, give up hankering for material gain and security. Like Srila Prabhupada's name is Abhay, fearless. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that the body, is perishable and it will definitely end at some point of time, but the soul is eternal, cannot be cut, cannot be blown away by a cyclone, cannot be, melted by acid, fire, like that. So the soul is eternal, indestructible, right? So when you understand that you are the soul and you cannot be destroyed, you have the best security. Where is the tension? And then when you have taken shelter of Krishna, who is all powerful, then again, Rakshasiti Vishwaso, you have full confidence that Krishna is protecting you. So you have no tension for security. And Krishna is the maintainer. When you understand that Krishna is maintaining everyone, So you don't have hanker for material gain. You know that whatever you require, Krishna is going to supply. You know. So then these qualities have to be cultivated, you know, along with your chanting and reading and hearing. So this has to be imbibed. As you imbibe these things, then obviously you are elevated, you become less illusion, and one day comes where you are like a Sthapragya. Arjuna is asking, what is the state of a person who is free from illusion? How does he eat? How does he walk? You know. So Krishna explains that, you know, like when we say, I had a real good feast, you know, full belly, and it was just amazing. We say like that, this is how I took prasadam last night. But supposing you have a driver and you tell him, go and fill the car with 20 gallons of petrol. And he comes and tell you, oh, boss, I drank 20 gallons of petrol. You know, what we will say is completely an illusion. He's freaked out, right? But if he says, no, I just put the petrol in the body. So similarly, a self-realized soul understands that I fed the body. I did not feast on it. I fed the body, right? I gave the body the food, and I was just sitting in the body, you know. I'm not the body. You know, I was not eating, the body was eating, right? So one who can understand this, you know, is very subtle. He's free from illusion. So one who applies to all these strategies which are there in the scriptures, and here Naradji also is explaining, he can be free from illusion, and then he can understand that everything is being done in this material world, you know, by the body which is operated by the three modes of material nature, right? And in Sutra 48, Naradji says, who can cross beyond illusion? That person who renounces material duties and their profits. That person who renounces material duties and their profits. This means you have to dovetail everything you do, including maintaining your family, doing your job, doing your business, driving to your job. You have to dovetail everything as a service to the Lord. You don't have to change your position, but you have to, the consciousness has to be that I'm doing all this for Krishna. And begin by sharing some of the profit to Krishna, and then gradually coming to one day to what Rupa Goswami said, giving 50%. So one who can do that, you know, instead of thinking my family and understanding that it is Krishna's family, you know, and this my duty is for Krishna's pleasure, then one can be free from illusion. Transcending duality, you know, dvandva, good, bad, good, bad. We always discriminate. This is good, this is bad, you know. So, understanding that this, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, this material world is not a fit place for a gentleman. And Prabhupada explains, it's like the loo, you know, you go, you finish your business and get out. You don't sit there and spend hours there, you know. So similarly, we have to finish our business and go out of here, you know. This material world is just illusory. You cannot actually be the enjoyer. If you really want to enjoy and be happy, then you have to understand your constitutional position and be situated in that. Then you will be happy. So this is what Naradji is explaining, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he explains, that at the time of death, right, fire burns the gross body, right? Or in some religions, they, like the Parsis, they throw the body to the birds, or they do cremation, they bury the body, etc., etc. If when your body has been, given to the fire or to the land, whatever, to the earth, there is no more material desire for material enjoyment, right? And then the subtle body is also pure. Then the pure soul remains. Then the pure soul, he goes back home, back to Godhead. So at the time of death, if you don't have any material desire, right, then you can go back home. So you have to be free from illusion, right? Before Jivan Mukta, before you come to that stage, the final breath, So Naradji, he's giving us all these tips, how we can, gradually develop. And in Beyond Birth and Death, Srila Prabhupada explains that it is not sufficient to understand theoretically that we are not this body, but practically. And then he goes on, what is the meaning of practically? He says that you have to become master of the senses and the mind and the body. This means one who understands that he is not this body, in order to realize that you are not this body, you have to master the art of controlling the senses and the mind. In the preface of Upadeshamrita, Srila Prabhupada writes, advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. Then he goes on to explain what is the meaning of attitude. He says that a devotee must be a perfect Goswami, master of the senses. And if you see the first sloka of Upadeshamrita is all about controlling the urges of the mind, the tongue, etc. Vacho vegam manasa krodha jiva udara upasta vegam. So one who can tolerate, one who can master, then he can move forward, right? And Krishna is explaining to Uddhava that one who identifies himself with the body, what happens in the body then? The psychology is explaining. So the mind is supposed to remain in sattva gun. But when you identify yourself with the body, then you shift the gear of the mind from sattva gun to rajogun. And when rajogun, the mode of passion, is hovering in your mind, then unbearable desires erupt in the mind, right? And then you're forced to go in that direction. So one who cannot control, the senses and mind, he will be degraded by the mode of passion, So the whole art of spiritual culture, as you must have been hearing, is to go for higher taste. It's not that we stop everything. It's not that we don't look at beauty, but we look at the supreme beauty of Krishna. It's not that we don't smell every morning, smelling in the temple, nice scents offered to the Lord. It's not that we stop hearing. We hear nice kirtans and bhajans and nice discourses. We eat nice prasadam. We dance with the devotees. We go on tours to the Dham, Vrindavan, Mayapur, Puri, Replace with spiritual, One time, the four Kumaras, the sons of Brahmaji, they asked him a question that the mind goes into the sense object, and these objects, they go into the mind. How do you sort it out? So Brahmaji said, this is also happening to me. I don't know. Let me do a mobile call. So he called and Hamsa Avatar came. Lord Vishnu in the form of a Hamsa Avatar. He came. And then the Kumaras asked the Lord that question. And then he said, it's not possible. On the material platform, it is not possible to separate the mind from the sense objects. So what is the strategy? You have to give up the materialistic thinking, feeling, and willing and adopt the spiritual thinking, feeling, and willing. And you have to give up the materialistic objects and take on the spiritual objects. So you have to give up both material mind and material.
Hare Krishna. I think Prabhuji just got disconnected. We'll wait for him. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, Prabhuji's back. You went on mute for some. Okay.
I don't know, but cut off. Okay. So, in Hamsa Avatar, God is explaining that you have to give up both the material mind, the material sense objects, and take on the spiritual mentality and spiritual objects, right? This shift has to be there. This paradigm shift has to be brought in a devotee's life. As long as we are playing on the both platforms, that sometimes we are here, sometimes we are here, then our progress is like up and down, up and up, down, and we are not swiftly progressing. So this is how we have to, gradually. That's why the most important instruction of Naradji in the 46th Sutra is associate with the devotees, right? And then, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains in Jaiva Dharma, is sadhu sang and sharnagati, surrender to the sadhu instructions, Like one time one devotee said that my life is full of obstacles. Prabhupada said, with my one kick, I can kick out all your obstacles, provided you are ready to follow what I tell you to do. So we see in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna and Arjuna, they are talking as friends in the beginning. And Arjuna is declining to follow Krishna. He doesn't want to fight with his relatives. Krishna explored with other departments of knowledge, Ashtanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, everything, Karma Yoga. In the end, Krishna asked, have you heard with attentive? Have you understood the matter? Is your illusion dispelled? Arjuna said, yes. Nasta moha. Now my illusion has gone. Smriti labdha. I know what I should not do. Karisye vatava. I am ready to follow your instructions. Take my shelter. Give up all adharma. Give up all illusion. So, hearing and associating the devotees, seeing them for their progressing, gradually our faith develop, and then we are ready to surrender to what they are telling us to do, and that's when we start becoming free from illusion. So this is the process, easy to say, right? Because we have a conditioning, our subconscious mind is conditioned, but the process is perfect. And if we start applying ourselves in small steps, baby steps, we will see the effect, and then our faith will grow, and we can make more, take more larger steps and become more free from illusion. And one day we can be completely free from illusion. It's a very joyful process, like Srila Prabhupada says, there's always dancing, chanting, feasting along the way. And at the same time, we cleanse our heart. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. And so devotees, if you have any questions, you can keep it ready. And I was just about to make announcements from our website, but I think it's not loading right now. But at your leisure, you can visit ISKCON to see the upcoming programs. If anybody has any question, you could either raise your hand or you could text me and take this opportunity to ask. There's no naive question, so go ahead. Anyone? Roger, I'll just take a minute to make the announcements, if you don't mind. So for those who are not aware, you can visit our website. If you're in New Jersey, or if you know somebody who lives in New Jersey and would like to take the Association of Devotees, you can send them to us. So this upcoming Sunday, the class will be given by His Grace Madhavendra Puri Prabhu, Bhagavad Gita verse 7.5. Our Sunday school is beginning this coming Sunday, the 17th. So registration is open. Those who are interested in enrolling or get more information should come to the center on Sunday. And or if you know somebody in the Bergen area who would like to join, you can send them to us. Or if you want to join the Friday programs, Bhakti Vrikshas, every Friday we have a few Bhakti Vrikshas, Bhagavad Gita reading. All the information is on our website, including our chanting sessions from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everything happens on the Zoom, and all the lectures, including today's class, will be on our website or on our YouTube channel, ISKCON of Bergen. So here are all the past events and lectures that have happened. So thank you very much. And let's see if there's any question. I can start with one. Prabhuji, you mentioned quite a bit about association, Sadhu Sanga. But even in the association of devotees, how to classify, how to be careful where one may associate with so-called devotee, but the devotee is really not, there's no Krishna Katha, there's no Krishna talks. It's only It's being a nice devotee, having nice talks, but gradually one gets taken away from why we are here, which is to develop love for Krishna. So can you tell a little bit about the different types of devotees and who we should be taking association from and who we should be giving association to?
Right. Very good question. Yesterday we were talking about Asat Sanga. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, he quoted this many times, that Asat Sanga Tyaga e Vaishnava Achar. So one is a atheist. We should not associate with atheists. One is a materialistic devotee who is full of material desires. So we should help him rather than get influenced by him. One is a Mayavadi. Obviously, Mayavadi Sarvanash. So we don't associate with Mayavadis. And Karmis, Gyanis, Yogis, right? The worst association, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, is a Dharmadvaji, hypocrite. He's wearing the dress of a devotee, but his objective is something else. Like somebody has just joined ISKCON in India so that he can come to America, or something like that, The objective is not to practice devotional service, to grow spiritually, but to increase his illusion, like that. So you should be careful. Now, how do we see, when we associate with devotees, naturally you will come to see how he talks, how he walks, So real association means not talking how is the weather and, but rather going in spiritual topics. If you're just talking how is the weather, that socializing, that may be there, but it should be to the minimum. But we should help each other, like Krishna says, Bodhayantas parasparam. We can help. I'm reading this and this is my understanding. What do you think about this subject matter? So when there is spiritual discussion exclusively, that is the amount of time which is sadhu sam. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says the best association is one-on-one with your mentor, with your guru, with an advanced devotee. And in Upadeshamrita also, Rupa Goswami says that, in order to build relationship with devotees, you offer each other prasad, you offer gifts, but the main business is Guhyam Akhyati Prichati, confidentially revealing the mind to the devotee, where you are having problems, what are your weaknesses, like that. That's the best association, that, your mentor, your counselor, your senior devotee, you can do it and you can seek spiritual guidance and help, and he boosts you up. So when you're associating with devotees, there is one like barometer. By associating with this devotee, am I getting nourished and making progress, or am I getting bewildered about what to do, what not to do? This is one live test, Falena Parichit, So with those devotees where you're getting nourished, then associate more with them, and with the others, respect them. And, if there is some spiritual discussion, if there's some seva for the mission, do it, that will be the best. So this is the test. And then when you, like Jayadvait Maharaj, he says one who is following 4 regulative principles nicely and chanting 16 rounds nicely, then you can associate with him. And Shivram Maharaj, he says that I judge a person by the quality of his chanting, not by his seva. He may be a big time server, he must have done a lot of things. He may be a big kirtaniya, must be leading nice kirtans. No, I look at the quality of his japa, because Gauranga Prabhu also says that, you can do so many things to, bluff others, but in chanting, you cannot bluff because you're with the holy name, and how long you can bluff? 2 rounds, 3 rounds, 4 rounds, So one who is chanting his 16 rounds very nicely, and, his knowledge is developing nicely, and he's following all the rules and regulations. He's controlling the senses and mind like that. Obviously, you need to know quite a bit of Shastra before you can go on that level. But if you don't know anything, then judge by the result. Associate and see whether, if I'm associating with someone today, then does it boost my chanting tomorrow? If it does, that means that was good association. And if my chanting next day goes down, this means I did something wrong today.
Thank you. Another question is that you mentioned about expressing in confidentiality to your seniors or mentors, but sometimes the fear is there that I feel embarrassed to even share, or they may think this is such a minor thing, and how can I share? So I want to get guidance, but at the same time, the one may think that is this something I should even share, because they will think, how silly, how small. So what to do in those situations?
Yeah, that's why it's mentioned Swajatiya Snigde. Even Raghunath Das Goswami, he explains in Manashiksha that, you should not have an official relationship with your guru, but you should see him as your well-wisher and friend, So Swajatiya Snigde. Snigde means there has to be affection. The mentor has to be affectionate to you, and you have to have that kind of affection for the mentor. So you have to have at least one close relationships where you can, come completely, have your heart completely naked in front of that devotee. And that's when you really make the progress. So to understand that, how important it is for me to take guidance and shelter, instead of trying to solve it myself and taking, okay, initially you may also try to solve it yourself, but eventually if you're not getting anywhere, then you obviously should reveal and then get some advice and then move forward. So it all depends on greed. That's why when Mahaprabhu and Ramanand Rai, they are talking, what is the price of getting this Krishna Prem, Krishna consciousness? Lolyam lalasmai. As we develop that greed, to get Krishna, to attain Krishna, to go back to Goloka in this life, when this boils, it's like a pressure cooker boiling, just about to burst open. So when that pressure comes in the heart, then you will say, you will do anything to get, so that will come by the association. Initially, you may not be revealing, but by getting serious and sincere in your sadhana, these things will come, and then you will understand. And obviously some things you will understand that for 10 years I tried and I didn't get anywhere, and I went to this devotee and I told, and in 1 week I'm free. So even when the satsangas are going on, when devotees are giving the realization, and from there you hear this, and then it will gradually, mellow you up so that your ego does not block you from revealing, but allows you to reveal, So this understanding of this Guyam Akhyati Prichhati, this is very important, that has to be hammered many times to devotees who want to become, good sadhakas. And they have to understand the science. Then by doing that, and if you see any psychology, like the Christians, they have, I think, a red book or white book. Most of the problems are with lust. So when you don't reveal, then the pressure builds up. And when you reveal, it's like a detox. The pressure is off. So when we get all this kind of knowledge, then it's easy. Okay, instead of building up the pressure, just reveal and be free.
Thank you. There's another question on the chat. How to deal if your own family is materially inclined and don't respect your views on spirituality? If your own family is materially inclined and they don't respect your views on spirituality.
Okay, so there one thing is sure, like they say in Hindi, Ghar ki paneer aloo barabar, that they are not going to listen to you. So one thing is that you should give them association of persons materially just a little bit above them, or at least equally opulent and educated. Like supposing you want supposing my father is a doctor, then I have to get some other doctor to preach to him. My preaching is not going to work there. So some other doctor devotee, we can start linking them up, they can associate, then gradually they can discuss and they come. In the meanwhile, you just have to tolerate. You have to take the responsibility that whatever you got in this life in terms of family or any body or whatever, it's because of your own karma. So you just got to live with it. Okay, I have these family members. How can I behave nicely with them so that one day they will understand and respect? Today they are not able to respect because their material desires are strong, but in the future I will serve them, I will care for them, I will do my duty and tolerate all the nonsense they do to me, and one day they will change. And pray to Krishna that, please bless them, that they may also become devotees like that. So that's, if we have this attitude and we use these strategies, then you can go, because, something you cannot change overnight.
Thank you. There's another question by another person that it is one thing to associate with an ideal devotee. I'll just rephrase it. But on the other side, it is hard to even find a devotee in rural America. For example, I may have to travel 1.5 hours to go to the temple. So in that case, what to do?
Well, fortunately, technology is there. In COVID time, I was counseling all my devotees on the Zoom, half an hour on the Zoom. I did counsel around 50-100 devotees, on the Zoom. And you can always talk on the phone, you can email, you can write letters. And then obviously, because this is the highest goal of life, once in a year or, twice a year, you can go and spend time, you can travel, you have to take the trouble, if we lose our job, we will go 100 miles, 200 miles to get a new job. Then, we have lost our relationship with Krishna. For that, we should be able to travel also, not every day, but like that. And in the meantime, use this technology and all that, phone, at least give a report, send a report, weekly report, sadhana card, like that. Whatever's going on in your mind, keep on revealing that, do a WhatsApp, and that will help a lot.
Thank you. Ashish Prabhu?
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Nice
Krishna.
lecture, Prabhu. I have one question that today's days and age, I mean, Varnashram Dharma, like Vanaprastha and Sannyas, two section of our Varnashram Dharma, which is pretty much hard to follow because we work till 60, 65. And by the time we're done working, I mean, it's hardly we are capable to do anything. What are the suggestions that we should do, or one should quit his job and follow what he needs to do? Otherwise, without that, there is no detachment. And without that, we keep coming back here again and again.
So wherever we are, we have to follow that first nicely. So if somebody is a brahmachari, then he follows that nicely, then he will go up and up. He can take sannyas, or he can go to the grihastha ashram. And then if he's following the grihastha ashram nicely, all the rules and regulations, then at some point Krishna will make the arrangement. So having this faith that if I am sincerely applying myself to whatever position I am now and trying to make my best to make progress, then Krishna will provide whatever is necessary to go up. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has also said, Grihe Thako, Vane Thako. So it may not be necessary for everyone, to, take sannyas. And it may be difficult, and it may be also difficult to take vanaprastha and go to the forest, but you can remain in your house and be like a vanaprastha also. And Shivram Maharaj says that sannyas is not compulsory for all men, but vanaprastha is compulsory. So at some point, we could, supposing the grihast is there, the husband and wife, so they could live in the same house, but they could be living like vanaprasthis, detached, so that could be practiced. And by taking the proper mentorship and guidance, and we have to make the best of the bad bargain, And if someone, we are seeing so many Matajis now, they are getting, amazing results. They are getting the mercy of Prabhupada, and, sometimes Radharani is coming in their, vision and asking them to join them in the dancing party, and sometimes Prabhupada is uplifting them, and sometimes their Siddha Swarup is revealed. So there is no bar for any sincere candidate. We just have to apply ourselves from whatever we are now, and then Krishna will make the rest. And also some varnashram self-sufficient communities are coming up. Obviously, it's not as successful as we would expect it to be, as we want it to be, but it will come. Gradually it will come. We will come to that stage, because Mahaprabhu has predicted a 10,000-year golden age. So that will come in the future. And if we don't make it now, then we will start from where we have left off in this life, in the next life, and Krishna will give us all the opportunity there. But better we become more serious and increase our efforts, triple, quadrufold, and then definitely Krishna can do magic.
I believe that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Prabhuji, can you share from your own life how you met your spiritual master when you were in London and then ended up now in being a president of 2 temples and doing so many services? So that transition, and if you can just summarize.
Okay. When I was 14 years old, we went on a Himalaya tour, and on the way back returning, we came to Jaipur, where all the Murtiwalas was there. So I was standing in this Murtiwala shop in front of Krishna, and that's when my Krishna, he inspired me to desire like this. that I don't want to, work my life till 65 like everyone else. I want to retire at 30 and 35. I want to have like this murti in my house. I want to get one pujari to do the puja, and I will just sit and relax and enjoy. This was my dream, right? And then I went through the marriages and all that. Then when my first daughter was born, on her first birthday, I had stopped. I was also eating eggs and all that, smoking and gambling and all that. I'd stopped all that. So then I went to buy this cake, eggless cake. And then I came to know that you can get it at Govinda's at Soho Street, ISKCON, London. So I went to buy this cake. And when I said, let's have the cake, they said, there's some dressing remaining. In the meanwhile, why don't you go up in the temple? And then it will be ready in 45 minutes. So when I went in the temple, Mahavishnu Maharaj was giving a lecture. And prior to this, I had read CC, one volume edition, and I was inspired by Haridas Thakur. So in the lecture, Maharaj said, if you plug in the socket, the plug, and flip the switch on, the current will come. And what is this plug-in? Is chanting. So after hearing that lecture, I went to the shop upstairs and I got the beads and I got a couple of books, and then they said, okay, we will show you one video. So they took us in one room and they showed us like Hare Krishna, video and all that. They gave us some juice. And I decided, okay, from this day, I'm going to chant. So I started chanting 4 rounds in the first week. Second week, I was on 8 rounds. Remember, I was inspired by Haridas Thakur, Third week, I was on 12 rounds. Fourth week, I was 16 rounds. Fifth week, I was 20. Then I said, with my job and all that, I cannot go immediately. Now I'll have to wait some time before I can increase. So like that's how I started. And then one devotee, during Rath Yatra festival, he introduced me to, His Holiness Loknath Maharaj, and I heard his kirtans and I was inspired. And then I used to serve Maharaj whenever he used to come to London, pick him up from the airport and drive him around and all that. And then finally I said, I want to take initiation. And then I had that plan. I wanted to retire. So my father expired in 94 and we wound up in London and we wanted to come to India. And Maharaj said, you come and you can serve in India also. So I came. And then Basu Ghosh Prabhu and Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, they engaged me in Sankirtan party in Baroda. And then Bhakti Vikas Maharaj made me TP in Vidyanagar. And Guru Maharaj used to call me for all the sevas in the IMP and Maharashtra zone. Then Arvade temple project, they involved me. Noida, they involved me. Fundraising, they involved me. I was EC chairman, DC chairman. Maharaj engaged me a lot. He was very merciful to me. I'm not qualified for any of these things, but Guru Maharaj is very merciful.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for sharing that. Does anybody have any other question or comment? Okay. I would like to thank you once again for, on a very short notice, to come and speak to us, and hope you can join us again in the future.